Yeah,
Aha,
Alex, yeah, we can.
I can hear you now. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yep, we can.
Ah,
Everyone's warmed up and ready for you, Roger.
warmed up and ready. You've warmed up and ready, everyone, Darius. That's great. Good to see everyone, guys. Good to be here. So sorry I'm a little bit late. We have many, multiple things happening here at the same time in Singapore, including the fact that it's horribly raining. Look at this. This is terrible. It's like all raining out there. I fly off to Taiwan tomorrow, and apparently it's raining there as well. So I just spent last week in Phuket where we found a new beach club, which I'm really excited by. So I'll share with you a little bit about that in a bit. And it was nice and sunny there, so that was good. But other than that, my tan's going on now, so that's not good. Welcome everyone to our October call. How exciting is this? We're in our final quarter of the year now. And we just had this Tuesday, our team charter meeting where we actually go through all the quarter. We've got our plans for next year we're putting in place. So all the green level stuff that we're doing at the moment, where that becomes relevant, I'm going to be sharing that with you on this call as well. We have some new faces showing up on this call as well. So welcome, guys, to the call. And we have some new guys going to be joining our next call too. So this happens to be Enterprise 2 for some reason, the one that's got more people coming on board at the moment. And I think quite a few actually moved up to Emerald Circle over the last call as well. So we have fewer on the call, which makes it cozier for everybody too. And let me start with a bit of a overview on what we're going to cover and the kind of steps as we go through it as well, right? So I'm just opening up here everyone's notes as we go as well. And then what I'll do is I'll just walk through a bit of an update on some of the other things to know about that are happening on other calls as well. So first of all, here we go. This is my screen. And on here, we've got the notes for everybody as we're posting them all down here. And obviously we've got all of the October notes in here. So it's Danny. We've got Eileen is posted in here. She's not on the call yet, but I'm sure she'll come join us. We've got Sari Michelle here. We have more here as well. We've got Alexander on here as well. We've got Karen's been posting things down here. So we've got more people coming to join this call as well. And we've got Hez on here as well. So we will be coming to everyone's post as we go. Obviously, this is also recorded, so those who want to come back listen later, and also everyone on here can know that we can revisit things in the future as well as we go. So it's worth keeping a note if there's things I say, you go, okay, I want to come back to that. You might even just make a note where in the recording we are, so you can come back to it easy. We are currently still using our Facebook group for all of our chat, and we had a couple of events which are definitely worth highlighting in a moment. The first one is this one here is where we have all the chat that I'm going to be posting down below. All right. So we've had a enterprise call earlier today and we kind of went through a number of things around. So why have I posted about the stock market? I just want to tell you about this. The reason is because on the last call, in fact, if you want to go to all the calls, you can go here. And if I go to the last enterprise call, which is the September one, I just have to scroll down and here it is, right? And you'll see that on this one, as we were going through, we were talking about all the different programs and things that were already happening, and everyone's had the chat, and you can go back to the videos quite easily on this as well, right, down the bottom, right? Oops, there's all the calls down the bottom. So Darius posted those on there already, so you can go listen to those. But have a look at this. This is the first thing I posted on the last one, right? This was a month ago, where I said everyone is now talking about this in a way that everyone's talking about storms, but in fact, all the top guys, no way to avert the next financial crisis. These are the regulators talking about this. And I was going through on that call, even though the stock market was hitting new highs, be really aware that the people that are further upstream, there's another one. This is Ray Dalio saying the same thing. The people further upstream already know what's coming. They're already saying, hey, this is what's coming down the river, so just watch out. And so many people just get caught point blank by things that they're not even aware are happening because they're not looking or radioing upstream to see this stuff. And that's a huge part of not just being aware of what's happening in the future for your business, but what's happening for the future for yourself. And the fact that then 1 month later, here we are, and we just had the third biggest point drop in history on the Dow is all part and parcel of the fact that, well, we talked about it a month ago, now it's happening, right? So I'm not saying this is the major crash happening, but it's definitely a warning sign of what's about to come. And the reason that's really important is that this is the time to know that as old things fall down and there's this massive correction that's going to be happening, that it's the perfect time to be actually opening and starting new things at the same time too, right? So while we were posting on this, we also had a call, which was a Sapphire call. So this one, October, this happened just on Tuesday this week. It was only 2 days ago. So the guys on the Sapphire call, they're the ones that have got businesses right now that are doing anywhere from like, $10 million to $100 million in size. And they basically are all looking at how they scale those businesses. And so when you listen to this recording, you'll hear people like Scott, who's taking his property crowdfunding platform, What's My Great, and he's doing a funding launch on Cedars, which actually is crowdfunding. You've got people like Pat, who has her family business, which is like largest tool trading company in Thailand, who's now building out her business, which is all around education. So all the different people here, you'll learn lots of really cool stuff just listening into this. But we talked a lot about basically what's going on here, which is the next level of business that's taking place, right? So if we go through and say, what's the third phase of business? It's all here, right? Like SoftBank, this story is about the fact that a year ago, SoftBank Masayoshi-san managed to get this guy, who is Prince Mohammed, who's the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, to put $45 billion into SoftBank. We're now 1 year later, and SoftBank's just got another $45 billion from the same guy. So it's like, why did someone invest $45 billion and then 1 year later invest another $45 billion? And it's because SoftBank's already taken his money and 10 times it, right? It's so Masayoshi-san has invested in all these different companies where he's 10 timesing like billions, right? And so you say, well, what's he doing different? And the answer is he's investing in O2O businesses. So O2O businesses are very different from B2B or B2C. Here, let me actually write some notes down here. So let me just do this. So I'm going to be putting all this down on our enterprise call as well. So as we go to everyone's sharing, then we'll just keep the key learnings on here as well, right? So this is from the last call. Just going to create a new one for this call as well. And let me just kind of start with this whole idea of 3 levels of business. And level 1, which really, I mean, like if we talk about kind of like Web 1.0, was very much about the static internet, right? The static internet, right, was very much digital, okay, in terms of you having to go to an actual page, and it was dial-up, right, where basically you kind of like were up in your modem, and you go in and you see a gray page, and you go look at Yahoo, or you go look at like CompuServe, or you go look at Mosaic, and basically from there, you're getting your information, but it's very static, right? Web 2, and this started very much around about 1995 or so, 1995, 96. Let's say 95. That was kind of the first stage. The second stage happened 10 years later, right? So it was around about 2005, which was Web 2.0. And that was basically the social internet, right? Now, social internet is also digital, which means it's all about screen time. But it was more digital in terms of mobile, right? And what both of these did, while one of them you just kind of like looked at screens, and the other one you started actually adding content yourself, they both were linked in the same way, in that the only way to really digest this information is you had to look on a screen, whether it was a PC screen or whether it was a mobile screen, you were looking at screen time. And so both of these, what they were doing was they were saying basically, screen time, right, versus real time. So that's why there's so much criticism now of everyone's like, look, you're impeding in my actual day-to-day life, because I'm sitting here having dinner with you and you're not even looking at me because you're looking at your mobile phone, right? So this whole thing about, the millennials are like, just totally distracted and like, well, no, it's just that that's the model that has led us to this point. We're now at a point at 2015, it started in 2015, Web 3.0, and it's now really growing. So we're in the equivalent of 1998 of the first part of the internet, or 2008. Like companies at this point were companies like AOL, CompuServe, whereas companies and Yahoo, companies at this point were like Google, Facebook, YouTube, right? That's this level. This one here, Web 3.0, which is now all about basically interaction or marketplaces, right? This is about a digital layer, right? Which is all O2O. So what's O2O? O2O is offline to online, right? And vice versa, right? So basically it's about the fact that we are now creating a digital layer, right? Which is not screen time versus real time, it's enhancing real-time experiences, right? So for example, Uber, right? Like you don't like just spend lots of screen time on Uber, you spend the minimum amount of screen time in order to get the car to take you to where you want to go, right? Or Amazon, you spend just what you need to go buy the thing you want, and then you get it in your real life. So digital layers are where all of the new companies are all getting grown. So while we're seeing like the next market crash about to happen, we're seeing all these new unicorns that are growing. And they're actually getting there real fast. Like there's a company which I was sharing, I think on the last call, which is called Perks. Not Perks. So what was it called again? Yeah, I actually put it here. Let me just pull it from here. Here it is. Okay, these guys, Brex. Okay, so these guys, 22-year founders of Brex, built a $1 billion business in less than 2 years. It's actually 1.5 years. So think about what you're doing a year and a half ago, which was like February last year. They just started their business, right? And they were startups where they kind of said, well, what we really want is we want a credit card that we can use and we can't get one. Why don't we just go and create our own? And they just went to Visa and they said to Visa, can we use Visa and create our own card, which is going to be for startups? They go, sure, go ahead and do it, right? So they were like 21 years old. They set this up. There's an article here that you can read, right? This is all from the partner circle that we did this. And then from that, they basically then grew this business, which is just creating a digital layer on your experience of running a company. So it's called Brex. And it's really simple. You just kind of like apply for your Visa card. And then why people are doing it and why it's growing is because once you have it, you don't have to give personal guarantees or anything. You use it in your company for all of your expenses. And in the same way that PayPal became a payment gateway because they allowed you to use the statement as effectively your sales ledger to know what sales you'd made, these guys are doing the same for your purchase ledger, which they're saying, like, you give us the chance of seeing where you're paying your money. We'll organize it so that we can get, we can show you how much you spend on Uber. We can show you how much you spend on Apple, right? From your entire company, everyone can actually do this, and you don't have to have an accountant that then has to go through every one line item. This does it automatically for you. So everyone gives everyone a Brex card, says just put it on Brex, and then we don't need an accountant to manage our purchase ledger. They'll do it automatically for us, right? And then as a result of that, and we do it all on credit, and we just pay one bill once a month instead of having to pay every single person or pay every single bill. We just pay one, which is the Brex. They'll manage the rest for us, which is like such a no-brainer. And what they're using is a Visa card to do it, right? And then they're linking directly to QuickBooks Zero, so it all just automatically happens. So imagine that. You think about all those costs, all those purchase orders, all those invoices you get. You don't have to do any of that stuff, right? You basically just put it all on Brex, and Brex basically just says, pay this much every month. You pay once, and everything gets done, right? And so that is like, it's such a no-brainer, but that's what we mean by digital layer. It's making your day-to-day life experience easier and simpler. And it's not because you're spending lots of time on Brex. It's because they're actually providing a layer which makes your real time actually more effective. And what that's going to do in the next level is we're going to go from saying the internet is making us less engaged with our day-to-day lives to the internet's allowing us to be more engaged with our day-to-day life, right? It's going to go the total opposite way. And all of the companies that today are taking away our real life time are all going to start disappearing or collapsing. And all the ones that are actually enhancing our real life time are all going to start growing. And you're going to see many examples of companies that become billion-dollar businesses in like 2 years, right? So this is really important. Just be aware of it, that it's happening. And this article here from Recode is, where does SoftBank put its first $100 billion? And where they put it is they put it into all of these O2O companies, right? Uber, NVIDIA, WeWork, Flipkart. You look at any of these companies, they're all companies that have a real life experience, like co-working at WeWork, buying, like just like you do on Amazon. Flipkart's like Amazon for India. GM Cruise, which is like driving your car with GM, but basically using like the software to do it. Like all of these are all, DoorDash, like all of them are all companies which are really well known for creating a digital layer on a real life experience. And of course, the first ones were like Uber, Airbnb, but now all these other ones are all kicking off. And that's why he's 10 times his money, right? So invest in the old. Don't be surprised if you crash and you lose half your money. Invest in the new. Don't be surprised if you 10 times your money, right? But it's about just being aware of it as you're going through it too. So I wanted to share that to begin with because I want to get back to everyone's story now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. We had more people on the call now, so welcome everybody. And this is when we get a chance to now give everyone a chance to share for yourself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through for each person what you've written for your highlight, what you've written for your biggest questions. I'm going to put them all on the screen here so that in the second half of the call, we'll be going through that whole process. And at the end of all of that, everyone's going to be sharing whatever's biggest learning that's coming out of this core, but be writing lots of notes as we go as well. For those who are new, I'm going to ask you certain questions which are a little different from the others as well. So let me, first of all, just make sure I've got my right details here. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in an opposite order from last time. So last time we started with Claire and Danny. This time we are going to, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to invite those who already were on the call last time to be the first to share. Those who are brand new, I'll be coming to you kind of like in second round to be sharing as well. So what I'll do to kick it off is I'm going to be starting, first of all, with Michelle. Michelle Nolting says here, highlight is finished Q3 Partner Accelerator, opportunity to work with Michelle Clark on the Flow Consultant promo for Q4. Starting to figure out how I want my business to look, which is awesome. Big questions. Would you please go over the steps of creating an irresistible offer I like potential clients to go yes instead of sometimes umming and ahhing. And number two, I'm working on planning for Q1 of next year. We'll be able to assist with a strategy and milestone guidelines to keep it in rhythm and flow. And number three, I know I'm a bit behind because you did discuss it previously. However, I want to launch a mastermind for financial planners in the new year and would like some guidelines on how to structure it and make it successful. So Michelle Nolting's business is all about training financial planners to be more successful. And my first question to you, Michelle, is let's talk about the Q1 plan, right? Like, what is your ideal goal in terms of what revenues you want to be generating and what products you want to be getting out to market? Hello.
Hello, morning, Roger. Morning, everyone. Bless you. So for the products that I want to do, the change that I've felt in my business is that the one-on-one coaching needs to go. So I want to spend more time doing the 2-hour taster sessions to the 1-day team talent dynamic sessions, and then doing the mastermind, and then doing group coaching for the financial coaching. I felt that the individual coaching is
you got a lot of noise happening on your side.
I'm sorry.
It's not much you can do, I think. Carry on. We'll see.
No, sorry. I'll try to speak louder. Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll be the only person shouting. Sorry. Yeah. So the individual financial planners, it's still, I'm having a struggle. I know it's a niche market, but in this country, at the moment with payment and commitment, they're not being great. So I want to change my business model for Q1 to actually just reflect, not easier, it's still hard work, but more practical solutions for me that generates regular revenue. So I want to be doing a minimum of 100 in Rand, 100,000 a month in Rand. So I want to balance that between the 2-hour workshops and the 1-day event. So the 2-hour workshops, I charge a smaller portion. I charge about 1,000 Rand, which is, I don't know the conversions today, per person. And then the 1-hour workshop is, the 1-day workshop is about 30,000, which is I think $2,000, somewhere around there. So I know how many I need to do. Basically, I need to convert out of the 2-hour workshops. I need to convert about 5 per month, and then I want to do the mastermind on top of that. So I want to spend more time focusing on that. From the survey coming out, there's also going to be, one-on-one coaching required. So I want to do more like you do with the group thing, because I think that will be more effective for me. Obviously, in between, I've still got some of those clients that are one-on-one because they kept me going for the last year, so I've got to kind of keep them. But yeah, those are my goals, and that's where I want to go. But I want to just team it up a bit. So that I'm focusing in the right way. Okay,
so a couple of questions. You're asking around mastermind is one of your other questions, but are you looking to launch the mastermind in the Q1 as well?
Yes, I'd like to launch it. That's why I want to start now, because it's October, so we're middle of October. So I've got to do all the prep now so that I launch literally before the December holiday and hit in, let's say, at the end of January when everyone's back.
Team. Have you now got anyone who's going to be with you in the team on the promotion?
Well, I have Tracy helping me from a virtual PA point of view. I teamed up with this other guy. He's a law profile, but he's a little bit, I've got to actually pin him down a bit better. So that's where I need to work with him better. Because he's a little slow sometimes in what I'm requiring. But yes, I've teamed up with him to do it, and we've arranged the different splits on, I think a couple of calls back, you gave me splits in the business with marketing, sales, those things. So that's all clear. But yeah, it's really just content because I want to make it valuable, and he's not the ideas person. He's just going to do the back end work for it to make sure it runs on the days that I want it to run.
Okay, got it. And my final question to you, because I see you've redesigned your website, right? It's looking different now.
Yes. So I didn't know if it was going to be up today or not. That's why I didn't put it under submission until I didn't see it was a submission thing. Because I wanted to, it needed to be different. But if you could also maybe give me some insight, because I need a point to action, which we haven't done yet.
Yes. Okay. So my final question to you is around the irresistible offer. If you imagine that we're all here and we have been told that you're going to somehow help us in the first quarter of next year, and we're now on the call to hear about what your irresistible offer is. How would you phrase it right now? What would you say to all of us if we were all, insurance, like the financial planners, the people that are your ideal customer? What would you say to us?
I would say that I would show you how to increase productivity and increase your revenue in the first quarter by 10 times.
Okay, all right, and we go. Okay, that sounds great. What's the product? What are we buying into? How much does it cost?
We're going to use one of the number one entrepreneurial tools to be able to show you where your strengths are and where they lie. You'll purchase a token for this, and you'll get a debrief on that and a combined debrief for the team. But this is all inclusive for a one-day workshop of 30 grand.
Okay, and then we say, okay, so we get this workshop, and it's costing us, how much did you say?
50,000.
50,000. Okay, so we paid 50,000. We increased the size of our business. That's the goal. Anything else you'd say, or was that pretty much it? Like, how much is it going to cost? It's cost us 50,000. Anything else you'd want to say, or was that pretty much it?
Well, it'll help you with your recruitment. So you'll keep the right people. You'll put the right people in the right places. You'll increase flow and trust within your team. You'll also be able to find out how to build your team in a better way to support you as a financial planner. And then you'll get additional tips and stuff. Sorry, I lost the word. Tips and stuff to increase your financial planning business. So tailored to not with me.
Okay, you can stop now. You can stop now. Now you're just making it up.
Management.
Okay, all right, good effort. Okay, that's great. Okay, cool. All right, that's good enough. I'll come back to you on all of that, Michelle. All right. Okay,
well,
great.
Thanks, Roger.
Okay, fab. All right. And what everyone will hear, because I know we've got quite a few newcomers to the call as well, what you'll notice is that as I'm asking these different questions, I'm going to come back to them, but ask yourself those questions as well. Like if we were all your ideal customer and you were just put on the spot to then say, well, here's what I've got to offer, then how would you do it? Like, what do you think? So when I come back to feedback to Michelle, I'm going to go through principles, and then you can apply those same principles within your own side as well, right? So almost always on these calls, the reason they're so powerful as group calls is the biggest learning doesn't even come from me answering your question. It comes from you listening in at how other people have questions which are related to where you're at, because we're all fairly similar in where we're at in our businesses. And then from there, you can use all the same principles within your own business too, right? So this is all about irresistible offer, how to make sure the sales are actually coming in. And I'm kind of coding these as we go in terms of basically the level of the lighthouse as well. So we kind of see where they are on the spectrum as we go through it as well. So the next person we're going to come through is going to be Michelle. No, it's not. It's going to be Danny. So with Danny here, she has got her business. I'm going to open up her website as well so we get to see it. And she has got here, highlight, getting back a trainee I thought I lost just after our last call and running my first Facebook ad campaign. Also, just as I was typing this, I had a message pop up from someone in Dubai saying there's a huge need for my work there and she wants to organize a freedom fertility coach training. I think connecting with you, Roger, always seems to create some magic. Yes. I've been talking about your fertility coach training. I've got someone who's like already got a whole business in Japan, which is all around fertility training. It's all around helping pregnant moms as well. And I'm like, you should connect with Danny, right? So don't be surprised if you get someone in Japan contact you too. So 2 questions. Number 1, what numbers are considered good from a campaign? These are mine. Okay, so 652, 225 over 2 weeks. I stopped advertising as I saw that the clicks are still happening, but no sign for workshop anymore. 40 sign-ups for free workshops, 2 sign up for paid for training. So I now have 8. Any tips on closing a sale? I found that most people sign up who have been in my community for 4 to 6 months. So maybe it's less about how to close a sale and more about planning further ahead. What are your thoughts? And number 3, how do I lock in those who have said that they want to attend the next course? I offered them to pay a small deposit, 97, to still set the offer price 997, but they haven't taken me up on it. I have 5 who have said that the time isn't right now and want to attend the next course. However, I've had this before and some have dropped off. Okay, so we know this was part of a plan. There was actually a pathway that Danny actually put in place. And on the last call, we walked through that. And I'm going to bring it up again because it's a good example for everyone to see this as well. So Danny, I'm going to kick it off by asking you, what does the 652,225 mean? I understand 225 pounds, which is, I'm guessing is what you spent. But is the 652 also money you spent on something?
Oh,
No, 652. That was the amount of clicks through to the landing page.
Okay.
The product page.
Okay. So you're saying that you invested 225 in the advertising, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because when we were on the last call, I was just doing £5 because I didn't know what I was doing per day, and you said put it up. The amount you said was a little bit uncomfortable for me, so I went up to £30 a day.
Okay. Right.
So I'm not quite there. I'm not quite there yet to go up to.
No problem. Yeah.
So I went up to £30 a day, and I did that then I think for about another 7 days. But then I started noticing that I was still getting clicks through to that page. No one was then signing up for the workshop. So again, I lost confidence. So I dropped the price, and then I stopped the campaign, which is kind of where I'm at now. Now I did because of the way that I run the training, and a large part is online, I was able to kind of nudge the start date to mid-November. So I've got time to do some more. But I kind of thought it's so close to this call, I'd wait and speak to you to see kind of what the next steps are. Yeah.
Okay. So let's walk through just so I'm really super clear on the numbers here, right? So you spent 225, you got 625 clicks that came through, right? So that's so far so good. And then of those 625 that came through, that then led you to 40 signups. Is that correct? Out of 652?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the free workshop, yeah.
Okay. So you had the 40 for the free workshop, and then from you got 40 signups from 625 clicks. And then from there, you're saying that there was 2 that then paid for the training inside the workshop? Because I thought the workshop's going to be for a period of time, right?
Yeah, the workshop ran for 5 days.
Okay.
And then at the end, I did a live webinar to do this now. And then from that, I had 2 people who have signed up. I do already have others.
And
but then
got it. Kind of, how much did each sign for? How much they're paying?
997. I did a price. It's normally 1197, and I said 997.
Got it. And then when are you next going to run it again? The free training?
Well, at the moment, the workshop's available all of the time. So I have been doing some kind of posts towards, doing some content kind of posts. So like doing a post on social media and then boosting that with a link to the workshop.
But I guess, are you planning on another of these free training 5-day sessions before
doing the lives?
Yeah. Are you doing
the difference is that when I did it the first time, I went on every day and did a live, and then I did the webinar. The way I've actually just tweaked it, because I made sure the videos worked in terms of the online, is that I'm not actually doing that, so it can run all the time.
Yeah,
because I'm not sure if it made a difference.
Okay, I got it. So just like a final question on this, with with those guys who started the 40, how many of them were still doing it at the end? Like when you did the webinar, how many of the 40 showed up for the webinar at the end where you got those 2 people?
A tiny amount showed up. I think there were 4 on the actual webinar. The 2 that bought weren't on the webinar.
Huh? Where were they?
One of the ones that bought, she actually came in quite late and then signed up. So it felt to me that I've tweaked the wording, because I originally said find out becoming a fertility coach is right for you, and I think I got as you do, but I think I got a lot of people just coming on just to sort of see if they could grab some free info, which is fine, that's going to happen. But I have made it more specific now to say actually find out about becoming a freedom fertility coach, so that even if I get less numbers, hopefully they are more interested. But in the main, like the other one that signed up, she's been around my community for a while. So it just made me realise that actually when I looked back, every single person who signed up, they have been around me and this community for 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure whether that I should just be planning further ahead, or whether there's something different I can be doing to get them to make a decision sooner.
Got it. Okay, cool. Fabulous. Okay, Danny, I'm going to give you my thoughts on all of that, right? That's great. And the fact you've got those numbers is brilliant, because it means that we're going to be able to get some meat on this call around what are the right numbers and what to do once you know them as well. Okay, so that's great. Thank you, Danny. All right. And just so, again, everyone knows what I'm doing, because we're going to come to everyone else now. You can see I've been posting up as we go, different people and what they're posting. So I'm adding things on here as well. I'm also, as I'm going through, getting everyone's notes as we're going. And then off the back of that, I'm opening up people's pages. So you can see here, the actual page Danny was talking about in terms of where she's advertising and then people coming in is this one here, where they're doing this free online. So she's saying this is where she got, 600 people coming in and 40 people booking up to be part of this, right? So this is a good example of a landing page that you can create. And we talked about this in past calls. So if you're interested to see how it all got started, you can see on the last call as well. But basically what Danny's saying is in the last month, she spent £200 on advertising and she made £2,000 in revenues, right? So she 10 times her money. She could have said, I spent £2,000 in advertising and I made £20,000, and it would have been just as, the same thing, right? There's just one more zero. So always know that there's always a formula of some sort, which actually allows you to multiply. And once you know that multiply, you start actually upping the number and you start seeing the result, not all in one, don't just 10 times it all in one, but you can definitely like double it every week and then see, do you get the next level? And it's just like knowing what's the right number to then have the confidence to flow it through, or at least test and measure to then build your confidence for the next time as well, right? So we're going to go through, well, how does she go from £2,000, pounds up to £20,000? What's the way to do that once you start understanding the numbers, and are they reasonable in the first place, right? And I'm going to show you our numbers on some of our campaigns so you can get an idea of that as we go as well. Okay, cool. So let's do this now. We're going to work from the beginning and up again, and we are going to start first of all and I know some of you, I still have the first group call for us to share as well, right? So I do know that there's actually for quite a number of you, even the first time that we're actually speaking with each other, that this is a group call where you're actually going to be able to ask general things, but only once we've had our one-to-one call, with orientation call, where I then guide you through the whole year, will it become as focused as it just has been with Michelle and with Danny, where we're going right down to the level of like, right, what I'm going to do that's actually going to really deliver the results, right? But that's all good because for each of you already have been adding things in here as well. So the first person that I'm going to be coming to is going to be Hez Patterson, who runs Sachs Homes. And what I'm going to do for each person is I will start again by just reading out the highlight and the questions here, but then I'm going to ask you some questions off the back of it so people get to know who you are as well. So highlight, how best to grow and structure the business. That's not so much the highlight. Okay, so a highlight is really like whatever's the highlight from last month, right? What's the biggest thing that happened for you through the last month, right? However, let's go to the questions. Number one, what's key strategies that we recommend to best market my business? So what's like just basic marketing strategies? Number two, currently amateur or first-time property investors are expressing fear to engage in new investments due to possible change amounting through instances like Brexit, right? So how do you feel we can get around this and encourage them to invest differently from just merely telling possible customers that change is guaranteed, that we always be Brexit, and so on, right? So we have three centers of our business: the investment opportunities being offered to others, development side, the ongoing management of some of our investors' portfolios. What would be the most tax-efficient way for our company to operate? Would it be under one umbrella, or would it make sense to structure the company so that we essentially create three separate companies, right? So you've got these different things in there as well. So we'll talk about that as well. So what I'm going to do to begin with, Hez, is I'm going to ask you to just share with everyone, because I already told them a little bit about the business, but not too much. Share with everyone, what you see your business becoming and what you are most excited about for the coming 12 months. Do we have Hez here? I think Hez is on mute at the moment. You can find your mute. There you go. Can we hear you? I think Darius just unmuted you, Hez, but it doesn't look like you're there right now.
Hello.
Oh, hello. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it's just I've got my son with me today, so I'm trying to do.
Okay, multitasking. All right, understand.
Yeah, multitasking. Sorry, I'm back. Let me just come back 1 second. I've just put him in the room to watch TV. So.
Oh, do you want me to come back to you later? Oh, okay, you're back.
Yeah, yeah. It would if you come back to me after. Yeah,
I will do that ahead. You look after your son. I'll come back to you.
All right. Then, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll just make sure I make a note on Hez anyway. So we have that here. And then let's continue on here. And Darius, if you can just keep managing the mutes, that'd be cool. So what we're going to do is we are going to come over next. I'm just checking to see if we have Karen on the line. Doesn't look like Karen's on at the moment. She's put some notes down here. So what I'll do is I'll just make a note of her name so that we don't forget her for later. So there's Karen. And then let's come next to here is Alexander, right? Alexander. Got here top questions. Number one, how do I set KPIs for all team members? How do I hire the right team members and trust that they'll do a good job? And how do I structure my interview to improve the efficiency? How do I focus on one task and at the time and not get distracted? And I find it very difficult to deal with people and evaluate them. And how do I also attract, wow, there's a lot more than 3 questions here, but they're all together under number one. How do I attract a business partner and investment? Okay, so a whole bunch of things like, how do I do everything? So Alexander has a company called My Trusted Builder, right? So it's basically very much around kind of like, how do you actually, find customers for that market? I'll start by asking you the same question, Alexander, which is tell us more about your business, what you see it building into, and what are you most excited about for the next 12 months? Hello.
Yes. Hi, Roger. It's hard to say. The business works well at the moment. What I'm challenged with is to build the team around me that can perform, and I think it's I've dragged it for so long that now I'm a bit losing the direction. So
okay.
Everything happens well. Our product people like it. We deliver on our promises, but I have no. I failed to build that team that could deliver this amount of work. And at the moment, I just I'm in a place of uncertainty whether I'm in the right business. Shall I change it? So that's my place really now. I don't know what to do next.
So let's break it down into names and numbers, right? How many people do you have in the team at the moment?
I have 2 people in the team. So in the office I have 2 people, and on sites I have 5-6 teams that are performing. They work as subcontractors. So about 8 teams of subcontractors with different trades, and they perform on site. Everything is managed from the office through a ERP system. So we have a ERP system installed, and the communication goes through the platform. And I have a contracts manager in the office and a PA.
Okay.
We don't have any sales at the moment, and we need someone, a quantity surveyor, who would estimate the projects.
And at the moment, like, how many clients will you be working with at any one time? Like, how many building jobs will be on?
Well, it's up to 10 now. We have 6. But that's because we did not sell for several months, for probably 3-4 months, and we desperately need to start selling. Our sales process isn't that easy. It's a huge turnaround. So to work on each perspective, we need to spend probably £500 to £1,000, depending on it. So because it's the estimation process, the procuring process, and I don't have that resources in terms of people to.
So is that because when you're asking the questions about team, is it because the team you currently have is not operating at the right level, or is it because you need more team members to be able to grow and you don't have the right system to get more team members?
Yeah, I don't have the right team members. That's definitely the case. And I don't have people that are competent to deliver, or I don't see them as such. So that's, I don't know where that stands, or where I put it. But,
can you give one example? I just need one of a situation recently where you noticed someone was just not at the level you actually were wanting them to be at. Like give us a situation. Who was the person and what happened?
Okay, yes. So it's a technical thing on a delivery. So they needed to place a delivery order for a steel structure, and everything, all the details they needed were in the technical drawing, but they didn't see them, and the suppliers didn't seem to see them as well. and that caused a delay in the job. And the client came back to us with obviously not very happy because of that. And then I had to go in and I had to resolve this situation. So everything comes back to me. Nothing is resolved. So no one makes decisions. And I feel, I'm not sure why that happens. Either I don't have competent people, or why I don't trust them to do the job. So technical things that are happening, I don't want to deal with. I don't like that. So I can sell, I can meet the clients, I can do the networking, but yeah.
I got it. And I know why it happens, so I'll be sharing with you why that happens. Okay.
I think, Roger, the gratification, because the business I'm in, people are never happy for some reason. Well, they're happy at the end, but during the process of their work, because so many changes and it's very technical, and it's the operation side of the site management. It's very complex.
Yeah.
Although it may look straightforward, but it's not sales, and it's not something you can automate. We need to have in the team. Why it's been difficult for me to hire people, because it's very expensive as well. Because
sure.
We need very specialized engineers. We need a huge team of people to make sure that all these operations are running smoothly.
Got it.
And there is no gratification. I rarely hear a pleasant thing from the client, because everyone is trying to save money and to do it cheaper, and comes back to us with things. So I'm always in the position proving. So I feel like I'm trying to serve myself only, because people coming to us with requests that are serving themselves, which I think this is my motivation down as well.
I get it. All right. Okay. Thank you, Alexander, for that. All right. Cool. Hez, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hez is back. All right. I'll come back to you, Alexander. Coming over to Hez now. And Hez, same question I just asked Alexander, which was, tell us a little bit more about your business and what you're most excited about over the next 12 months.
So my business is basically, I want to, so myself, I do property developing and investing. So I basically want to take my model, what I do, which is purchasing properties and stuff. I get a lot of people asking me, how do I do it? What's the steps in the process or whatever? So what I want to try and do is create the same thing for others, in terms of being able to purchase properties for them, but then not only sourcing it for them, create a package where we'll find a deal for them. If it needs work being done on it, then we'll do the developing side, and then also the managing side. So I want to help people create portfolios to have a passive income. And where we generate the businesses, we would charge a fee for finding it, and then we'll charge a fee for doing the work for them if it needs developing or work being done on the property, and then the management side of managing the property, of getting a monthly income from that. So that's kind of the basic overall general scope of the idea of the business.
Yeah. And what are you most excited about for the next year? Well,
I'm most excited about just getting it started and creating it, and then helping people to be part of the process on the journey. I've been doing this for about a year and a bit now, and I've seen the potential of what it can do for myself and for others. So in the process, while I'm doing it for myself, being able to help people do that as well and earn a living out of it, which I can see it can be very profitable. So for me at the moment, it's literally at the beginning stages. I haven't. Can
I ask you, how many customers do you have at the moment?
That's what I was just about to say to you. I don't have a customer. It's because I haven't really created a package to fully present to somebody yet. So at the moment, I'm purchasing and buying stuff of my own. And so
how many of your own investment properties do you have at the moment?
I have 10.
Okay. And you're managing those yourself as well, or do you have a team doing that?
I'm managing them myself. I have a team of 2 others, which is I have one person who who's here helping with the operations of the overall business, and then I have a PA who does just the general back office stuff and stuff like that.
Okay, and what is the?
Also, then I have a carpenter who does my projects for me.
Okay, and given that you're already investing in properties and you're growing that, what's the reason that rather than you going from 10 properties up to 20 or 30 or getting development and just going down that route, what's the reason that you are wanting to go down this different route of teaching other people how to do it, which it sounds like is what I'm hearing you say, because you're trying to go for first-time buyers. Yeah.
The reason is because I can see once I create my portfolios, like I get a lot of stuff thrown at me, and I can't have every deal, but I know that off the back of those deals, I can present that to somebody else and make money from it. But then also not only make money just from finding them the deal, then I can also, if I've already created a system that's managing my properties for me, I can then do the same for others and make money from it that way.
Okay, fair enough. All right, great. I got it. Okay, I'm going to answer your questions, Hez, as to where do you start with that and the structure of it. And of course, when we have our own call, that will be, you'll get more detail, but I'll already cover it on this call too. Great. Good to have you here. Okay, all fabulous. Right. All right, thank you. Hez, we're going to come over. Next person we're going to come to is Sari. Sari here has got highlight. I finally received the keys to the bar. So Sari's getting a bar going, which is a sake bar, which is very exciting. The renovation works will start in 2 weeks. I also started the process of getting authorization to run a bar business in Belgium, which is brilliant. Top questions. Number one, what can I do to create an environment to motivate each member of the team so they enjoy coming to work and would work for us for a long term, and also attract talented people to join our team? So actually, that's quite similar in a way to the questions that Alexander was having, right? We got another question. Can I create a system so that it will become easier to share and delegate tasks to others and keep track of things we should not forget to do? Can you please look at tools, apps, how do I handle the printed papers, contracts, etc.? What tasks should I prioritize to share, delegate to others? And how shall I assign tasks to different types of profiles of people? What can I do to stay focused? So many questions to start. Okay. And number three, we are planning to open the bar around mid-November without making things too complicated, like simple menu, limited services. What can we do to make our customers happy from the beginning? And what kind of opening promotion would we consider implementing? So great questions. Sari, I'm going to ask you same thing, which is tell us a bit more about the business and share with us what you're most excited about over the next 12 months.
Right, so we are opening the sake bar in mid-November. It's going to be the first sake bar in Belgium. And we also have a plan. This is a pilot program. So if we are successful, we plan to launch this to other countries in Europe. So this is our big dream, and we have to make it successful. So I'm super excited because it has a very bright future ahead. At the same time, I'm just be overwhelmed.
Okay, all right, that's great. That's really good. And at the moment, what's your current plan in terms of, have you done any promotion planning for how you want to launch? What's your best idea at the moment?
Right, so I have a friend who is a culinary designer. She works for restaurants and bars to create their opening menus, like grand menus. And she would be coming to Belgium to help us for the opening. So from the end of November, she's coming for 3 weeks. And we decided to do like special sake pairing dinner. Also, she's a sushi decoration master. So we're going to do sushi making lessons as well, pairing with sake as well. So those are some key exciting events that we created.
That's very cool. That's awesome. Okay, great. So I am going to go through how we go about managing everything with our cafe, and just to give me an idea of size, how many staff are you looking at and how many seats do you have in the bar?
Right. So in the restaurant, or in the bar, we have about 30 seats inside, and we have 12 outside. So in the wintertime, of course, maybe not many people would use outside. So inside it's 30. For the staff in the kitchen, we have 2 people already confirmed. To serve the customers, I'm trying to find at least 2 at night. And during lunchtime, we also have 1 person coming in. Because here we are in the European institution area, hence lunch is very busy. And that's where we can also make additional income. Hence, we cannot miss the lunch opportunity.
Got it. Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much, Sari, for that. And I'll come to all your questions. Okay, good. This is going to be exciting. And then we've got here, next we're going to come to, well, we have Eileen also, who unfortunately isn't on the call, but her details are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Karen and Eileen right now. And I'm just going to read through what they've got on here so we can kind of see that we don't miss them out as we go as well. Eileen has a company which is called Get Up and Go Diaries, which is in Ireland. Her highlight is a huge, successful Get Up and Go event, but a financial failure. Eileen, we've talked about this, right? I've been telling her events are not the way you're going to make money. Launch a Get Up and Go as a business all-star. Great response to Young All-Stars Sports Journal, which she's got out, which is great. That's all about partnerships, lots of new opportunities, requests for customized co-created products, including school journals. So that's brilliant. So questions, number one, what business model focus on to grow the business in line with its potential, right? So all about what is the right business model. Okay, I'm going to make a note of this separate so we don't miss this business model for Eileen. Okay. Secondly is also how to connect with and create partnerships in other markets, right? And number three, how to satisfy demand for new customized and co-created products with limited resource and color costs. Okay, so this one here is basically how to satisfy demand or with scale demand is what I'll say. And then also partnerships, okay? All right, so I will share all that with you, Eileen, and really great that you at least did that event, but hopefully less events and more on the product side. And then let's come over also to Karen, who said earlier, Karen Morton. So again, not so much the highlight of the last month, but I think you guys know what that's all about now. So she has her Dr. Morton's travel pack here. I'm going to open that up so we can see that here as well. I'm going to share all of these links in a moment as well, just so you guys get a copy of all of it. This is the medical helpline, Gynae travel pack, solution to the most common issues experienced by travelers abroad, all in one travel pack, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to just get your questions here. I want to do a limited pilot Facebook marketing campaign for our travel packs. Partner things that will blow away money and runway for getting our B2B strategy going. I feel a short campaign will either give instant results or not. So is that worth doing or not, right? So that's the question. So let me just kind of say on this one, the travel pack, if I just put that down here, and this is going to be around travel pack. Is it a good idea to do a promo or not? All right. And I'll come back to that as well. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take those who have not actually shared anything yet, but are on the call to have a chance to share as well, given that you are here. I'm going to start with Ilaria here, who is here. And I'd love to hear, Ilaria, from you if you have any, well, first of all, love for you to just share with everyone about yourself, what you're excited about. And it may be that you don't have access to the actual page yet, which is why you haven't put anything in here. So I'm still, obviously, you're new here. So I want to give you a chance to share if you've got like immediate questions you want to throw in on the other questions that are here as well. So I'm going to come over to you, Ilaria, now. Ilaria's company is called Consulting That Really Works. And it'd be great if you could share a bit more about the company together with what you're excited about for the coming year.
Sure. Thank you very much, Roger, for the introduction. Yes, it's my first call. It's our first call. Walter is my business partner. He's on the call as well. And we are both Italian. And our Consulting That Works basically is a strategic consulting company that help entrepreneurs and organizations to systematize themselves. So we can help them to grow their business exponentially in a fast way. So they can have more time for doing things that they love. So in this, we cooperate with Walter. Walter is specialized and focused on digital. I'm in digital transformation as thanks to Walter that is really lead me and coach me in this. Walter now is going to Albania to do some big advertise for pharmaceutical companies. At the same time, we have got a big problem that is how to scale our business. How to scale our business is what we are excited because it's our problem. So we launched a group, a business Italian group in Italians in Facebook, like 1 month ago, something like that. And and we cannot grow that group. And it's really strange because in LinkedIn, I launched 1 week ago, and in 1 week we already have 100, almost 200 people. Okay. In Facebook, I think that is between 70 and 80. I didn't check today, but actually, like, it's stuck. And what I did is, like, I pre-launched yesterday a program, a mastermind, as Danny did. I did a bit of Facebook advertise, but I was not so good as Danny. In fact, I spent around £100 for having nothing. So actually, I'm not really happy about this. I think that my way for the digital transformation is really a long way. But the thing is this one, I'm quite happy about the webinar that I delivered yesterday as pre-launch, because everybody was like, oh, this is a good webinar. We had all the technical issues that we could have.
Lyra, I'm jumping here, right? Just we don't go too much into all the detail at this point. I'm looking for any questions you have at the moment, and then I'll be able to ask you some questions about some of the things you're doing, which will then give you really super value from this call as well.
Thank you so much, Roger, for digging. So my biggest question is, what can I do to change this Facebook engagement and to attract people on Facebook? Because the platform is working very well and LinkedIn is not working. So what can I do?
When you say the platform's working well on Facebook but not on LinkedIn, but you're getting more people on LinkedIn, what is it you mean by when you say LinkedIn's not working?
Sorry about that. LinkedIn, it doesn't give a notification. So whatever you post, you need to notify everybody. That means that I have to email everybody, and there is not a bot till now for LinkedIn. So it's really a manual, and it's really a long and frustrating process.
That's the reason. I got you. Okay. And then the other question I have is, this is all around you building the Italian association. In what way or at all does that give you extra business through the consulting that really works, or is it not related?
No, it's really related because we are launching a mastermind for 6 months mastermind. And at the same time, we are trying to build a kind of a digital product. Okay. And this is in Italian, is about how to grow the business for, let's say, single people. I mean, for people, individual, not for company. So the idea is then to scale. And obviously, this is kind of a beta group that we need to start somehow. Roger, you are on mute.
Yes, I'm on mute. Okay, I got it. Okay, I got it. Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, thanks for sharing. And obviously in our one-to-one, we'll get into more detail. But already on this call, I'm going to give you some pathways and things to be doing different with your current plan as well. So that's awesome. So good to have both of you on here. And finally, we have Richard here as well. And I'd love you, Richard, also to share a bit more about your business and what you're most excited about. So hello, Richard.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah, I run it's a health and education business. It's quite multi-stranded. So there's maybe 5 businesses. I'm not as involved as much as I used to be, which is why I kind of came to the summit last month and stuck my hand up when you talked about anyone wanting to get involved in the Crystal Circle, because I was kind of at a bit of a crossroads, looking at basically giving everything up because I just got a little bit bored. So the business that I've got at the moment, I run a training school. So we deal mainly in sports medicine. So we've got a clinic as well. And then I've also got a professional association for sports medicine. I've been doing that for a long time now, so I kind of got a little bit bored with that, and came up with another idea, which was to kind of expand on the sports medicine and become more integrative health, because we do a lot of, our clinic is an integrative health clinic, so we have psychologists and psychotherapists and nutritionists and everything else. So the next kind of step for me was to set up a society, another society, because I've already got one for sports medicine, but set up another society, but to basically have a global kind of like network, because there's a lot of people out there that are working in their own little industries and professions that don't really do much cross-referring because they don't know who to refer to in the private kind of health field. So that's my next kind of step that I'm just planning now.
By the way, do you have like some websites that I can just open up for a second?
So the training school is activehealthgroup.co.uk.
Okay, activehealthgroup.co.uk. Okay, got it. And is there an association link as well?
The association is sportstherapyorganisation.org.uk.
He organize it. Sportstherapyorganisation.org, is that right?
.org.uk.
Okay, got it. Okay, great. And what size at the moment is the Active Health Group, like revenue-wise? What's it doing at the moment?
I'm not sure, and the reason I'm not sure is because I kind of give up running that. Maybe
Who's running it now?
So my sister runs it.
Oh, okay, all right.
I've been trying to get I had run a business with my sister about 20 odd years ago, and she's run her own businesses since. And I tried to get her back involved a few years ago because I was ready to kind of like give up. And so she's taken on the role. So I'm not 100% sure. I mean, the revenue's probably maybe about 50,000 a month on that one.
All right.
On the training side.
And how many people do you have on the association? Like how many members do you have?
We have 1,200 members on the association.
Yeah.
And that is kind of without doing anything.
Sure.
We don't really do anything with it. But we get a lot of universities who approach us to kind of become accredited by us. So it's doing well without having to do anything. So I know that it can do something huge.
So with all of this happening at the moment, like, are you just generating income because the Active Health Group is paying you money just to be an owner, or are you making money from property, or what's happening there?
At the moment, I just take salaries from the businesses because I'm an owner.
All right, got it. Okay.
Kind of,
And if you were to, I mean, obviously we'll go into more when we have our call, but at this point, just hearing what everyone else is sharing and the kind of questions they're asking, what would be a question you'd want to throw in there that I could actually already be giving you some direction on this call as well?
Well, one of the things is that I really do want to kind of move away from, because I'm currently directors of the companies, and I would like to kind of move away completely just to become a major shareholder, which I'm not at the moment. I like I say, I'm still a director, so I'm still involved in it, because I think the new society that I'm setting up is going to be absolutely huge, and I want to kind of focus my time on that. And one of the things that I need to do with that is to basically sell it to key people across the world. So, key people in the health world, nutrition, functional medicine, and things like that.
Okay, so how do you free yourself up, basically, to be able to work more on that? Now, let's fast forward like 3 years, and let's imagine this new association. Do you have a name for the new association?
It's the Integrative Health Society.
Okay, so let's say that's now operating in all different countries. What would it be doing that other associations and societies are not doing?
So it's going to have different arms to it. So basically, it's like maybe a psychology arm to it. It's going to have a nutrition arm to it. It's going to have a bodywork arm to it. Because there's lots. Well, there's so many different associations that are specific to one profession. and they don't talk to each other. So in my clinic, if somebody's got a problem that's not being fixed by manual therapy, we will refer them maybe to a psychotherapist or to a nutritional therapist. But that doesn't happen outside of most organizations. So what we're looking to do is to link up with organizations to get involved. We've already got a big psychotherapy organization that want to get involved. And
I got it. Yeah.
For a practitioner to be able to go back onto the register and say, well, actually, I don't practice this, but you can go and, see this person.
Yeah. Awesome. I got it. Okay, fabulous. All right. Thank you very much, Richard. We're going to jump into some feedback for Richard and for everyone on the call. And here is my notes at the moment. So we are jumping into the second part of the call now, where I actually am going to share with you how there's always a theme of the call. We happen to have two themes on this call. You'll see that these little codes here kind of give it away, right? Like we've got a lot of people who are all at yellow 3. These are linked directly to the levels of the spectrum. So yellow 3 is all about monetize your moment, and monetize your moments is all about how do you make sure at yellow level you're turning what you're doing into money, right? That's the third step of yellow level. And then green level, so monetize your moment is where we've got Karen, we've got Ilaria, we've got part of Sari's question, like how do I launch? I've started this because both Hez and Sari are in launch phase. They don't have a first customer yet, right? So it's a different kind of launch promotion that you do compared to like a normal promotion. Danny's already got customers, right? Michelle's already got customers. So what's the promotional plan around that? Alexander's already got customers, right? So it's a different type of promotion, but it's still a promotion. So it's like, how do you actually really manage a promotion to make it work? And then green level 1 is all about establishing your enterprise. It's actually being at a point where you now have got flow in terms of your customer flow, and now you're looking at talent flow. You're looking at your team. So that's what Alexander's looking like to some extent. Michelle is as well. You kind of like crossover towards that. Sari is as well. Richard's questions are all around that. It's about how do I just structure the company. Eileen's question is like same thing, right? It's all around that. So establish your enterprise is the first step. So everyone's on the cusp of yellow to green. That's where it's at, which is always a good thing, right? Because that means that quite a number of you will then, in the next couple of months, be moving up to Emerald Circle, where everything's all about how do you scale the business, right? So just keep that in mind, that you've got these like fundamental core steps to move forward. As a bit of a navigation, because I'm going to tell you how I'm going to go through these. But first of all, it's always worth knowing that everything that I cover, you can come back to this recording, and over from now to the next call, you can go more into detail, which allows you to actually take the right step at the right time for yourself based on the level that you're at as well, right? So within Genius U, we have got one page which is really super helpful within the first micro degree, which is the Millionaire Master Plan micro degree. And it's really super helpful because it allows you here to be able to see the entire, what we call the pre-flight checklist, right? I mean, if you go through the whole thing, you can do that, but I'm just going to go straight to the pre-flight checklist. This one here is specifically, like think about like taking off on a plane. Doesn't matter which level you're at, you still have to go through and check every time you take off. Like, is everything working? Are the flaps working? Do we have fuel in the tank? So this is basically something I do every month. I go through each of these one by one. Do I have my future vision front of mind? You know, I've got my flight path. Because if you don't know where you're going, the rest of it doesn't make sense anyway. Do I have my personal finances sorted out every month? Like stuff that is too easy to forget about as you go higher up the spectrum level. And the ones we're talking about is this one here, the third step at yellow level, connecting to market flow, which is here. I've outsourced or automated my business processes. I've an annual schedule of promotion plans. I've aligned my team and partners, that you've actually got a rhythm of how everything's now rolling. Is think of this like flying the airplane, right? You actually have got a beginning and end. People get on the plane, you know, you go somewhere, right? It's like, that's what a promotion is all about. Every quarter, you've actually got a result that's come as a result of actually earning or learning. And then once you've done that, you can start building the airport, which is what green level is all about. So like, first of all, can I fly the plane? Secondly, can I build the airport, where I can then attract other yellow level players, other pilots to come and land at my airport. And so establish your enterprise, which is first level of green. We've got a compelling and unique enterprise promise. We have a business model that affords a leadership team, which means you can afford to have a team to run the company for you. And I've selected an empowering leadership team to lead the company, right? So we have those things in place or not. And then there's other elements which we don't have to go through in this call because they're not relevant. But really super key that these ones here, these ones are what we're really focusing at. And knowing that at every one of these levels, when you actually go, all right, I'm ready to dive deep. Like for those of you who I'm saying right now, your questions are very much at yellow level or yellow 3 level. The best thing to do is to go into the Genius U micro degrees. And I'm giving you the links directly on here as well, which makes life easier. But if we go back to the micro degrees and we look specifically for the yellow level one, we'll find that in yellow, some of the things that some of you can still go back and look at, which is in terms of identity and stuff, is all on here as well, on the next steps. Every time you click on next step, it just takes the next one along. But I'm going to go straight to monetize your moment, which is level 3, right? So this is the one we're talking about here, monetize your moments. Here's monetize your moments. And this one goes through like how you actually put a plan together. And you can assess yourself today. Do I have a written promotion plan, a project leader, a project rhythm? It's like, nope, I don't have that right now, right? It was like, oh yeah, I do have that. Do I have a set financial development and learning objectives to achieve them, right? So don't worry if they're all low to begin with. The fact is, once they get high, it just becomes natural. You're ready for the next step, right? Every one of these steps, you're just filling it up and going to the next step, right? But too often we kind of like try and jump steps, and then we wonder why, you know, we end up with like leaking plumbing, right? It's like, it's always making sure you're doing it one step at a time. So all these different elements on here, really super important. We'll come back to these as we're going through the yellow level 3, right? So I'm going to give this. This is going to be all about yellow level 3. Then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to, here, let me just put it here, level 3. There we go. All right. Okay. So level 3 steps, level 3 micro degree is this one. But what I'm also going to do is while I keep this one open, I'm also going to also create a new one here for the green level because we have got a green level 1, which is where we're going to be starting on this one. And you'll see in a moment, I'm just going to show you how important this is to know as you're looking at solving something that you're not alone. Other people have been doing exactly that same thing as well. If we start, and by the way, sometimes I start from the bottom and move my way up. Sometimes I start from the top and come down, right? This time I'm going to start from the top and come down. And there's going to be a reason I'm doing that, okay? But let's just take this one, which is now green level 1, where again, you've got a bunch of things that are, oops, let me go back to green level 1. Synchronize your green level 1 here, establish your enterprise. Okay, so as we go into this one, you'll see how this relates to the people that have been asking questions around this as well, right? So let me just put this is green level 1, micro degree, and there it is. Okay, so let's just come back to the questions, right? So this is where we have, there's an element on here on Michelle. How do I make sure I've got the right rhythm for quarter 1, right? How do I make sure I've got that? You've got here Alexander saying, how do I actually get the KPIs for the team? Like, how do I make sure I've got the right team in place, that I'm actually attracting the right team, that they're able to manage themselves? Sari, how do I actually get my team? How do I get the process to manage the team? What's the best way to manage them, right? Eileen, what's my best business model? Like, what kind of partnerships can I actually set up? You know, Richard, like, you know, if I actually have the teams running themselves, so I'm just a shareholder instead, like, you know, then what's the best way to do that? So all those questions are all very similar, right? Have a look at these and think of this for all of you. And in fact, even if you're at the yellow level thinking that, question this as well, right? On a 0 to 10, and you don't have to be on this screen to do this. You can just do it on a piece of paper right now, but just score these 10 things, right? Do you have 3 successful businesses whose path you clearly identify with? This is not having a role model. This is having a business model. So we have 3 successful businesses whose path we clearly identify with. Like 0 to 10, what does that look like, right? To you. 1 paragraph pitch that uniquely describes us. 0 to 10, what does that look like? Describe our enterprise in 1 powerful enterprise promise. 0 to 10, like where do you score on that? Now let's just think these first 3, right? Because you can see here, the first 3 questions are all about, is your enterprise of value? Let's take an example. Let's take Sari, for example. Let's say we go, well, I don't know. Do I have the businesses that I clearly identify with? Well, let's go have a look. We could say, I'm going to set up a sake bar. What are the top sake bars in the world? Right? And let's just see, best sake bars in Singapore, 15 best in Singapore. They're actually just saying Singapore. Oh, go drink some cool sake, 9 stylish sake bars in Tokyo. Kampai, creating sake bars. So these are all different places. And it's like, yeah, no one's actually done one for the whole world, right? There's gone for Tokyo. They've gone for different places. Oh, why don't we say top sake bars in Belgium? Why don't we say that? Because she's going to Belgium. She just said there's no other sake bars in Belgium, right? So here we go. Brussels, great authentic bento and sake bar, right? Top, so it's like best bars and that's Kobe. So obviously the wrong person. He's Singapore. So it looks like at this point, there's just the one, which is this one right here, right? And we say, well, then they're actually just doing their thing and they're not even a sake bar. They're more kind of just like a bento place, right? So you say, yeah, this is the first sake bar. But, well, if Belgium doesn't have any, are there any in Amsterdam, right? Maybe they've got some top sake bars, right? 15 best places for sake in Amsterdam, right? So straight away it's like, well, I'm going to look what other people are doing in other cities, right? Let's just take London, right? Just to see what London looks like. And because this is Europe as well, right? So you got all these sake bars in London. Best place for sake in London, British GQ. London's best sake joints, London Evening Standard. Best sake place for drinking, for drinking sake. So let's just go to English Standard or go to a more recent one, May 2018. This is GQ. So we go to GQ. We say we're interested in the best places for sake. And maybe you want to choose one place from London, which is going to be one of your role models. And you say, let's look what they're doing here, right? You've got Zuma. Here's Zuma. It looks pretty cool. They've got like all this kind of like, you know, like trees and stuff in here. It's like, oh, lots of people like it. Press your date, coming in promotion. It's like, okay, and I'm not going to go further because we don't have like all night for this course. I'm just going to take Zuma, right? I'm going to say, I'm interested in Zuma, right? And I want to see what does the Zuma London look like, right? And off you go, and up comes Zuma London, right? This is Zuma Restaurant London. This is a sake bar. This is what it looks like. Something different, like, you know, authentic flavor, or, you know, it's like blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. It's like, this is who they are. Welcome location. Oh, they've got a career section. That's interesting, right? How do they attract their team? And we go, oh, they've actually got a video which they show, right? And it's like, that's going to tell you about how you actually, you know, get a job there. It's like, well, that's kind of interesting. We say, well, you know, they've got stuff in terms of like how do they actually even start this up? Let's go and have a look. Let's actually say, let's look for the Zuma London founder. Maybe he's got a story. What's his story, right? How Zuma is taking over the restaurant world, Bloomberg, right? So this is a modern Japanese joint, right? Here's the thing. It's all about it. It's like Bloomberg's written a story about it. See, what happens the moment you go to work, like if you're looking after a role model, in this case, you're looking for something which is actually a business model. And you say, well, we've just found out Zuma, secret to chef founder Rainer Becker's $200 million success. And this is his story of how he's actually built his whole brand to now be this awesome sake bar, and the way he did it, right? So the great news is, you know, you're not the first, and you are definitely not the last, and you are going to come in and actually learn what did other people do, and you make this like a treasure hunt. It's like, wow, like, so this is going to be one of the companies. Now, I don't do this fast. You don't have to do this in like, you know, 5 minutes like this, but you get how quickly you can zoom in to the people that actually work when you just ask yourself this first question, which is basically, how do I make sure that I'm actually answered number one, when number one is simply this question, do I have 3 successful businesses? And it's like, now I've got one, Zuma, right? What about the other 2? And you might decide on other ones if you don't like Zuma, but you get the idea. Whenever I'm looking at anything, I'll always start by saying, who are the top in the market? What are they doing? What are their stories? How did they get there? How do they set their plan? How much are they charging? What was their launch party, right? All that kind of stuff. And when you see that stuff, then you actually go, cool, this is awesome, right? I can take their best stuff and I can learn from that, right? And then you can go visit whenever you go to different places and get all that info as well, right? So the first thing here, when we're actually going through, is actually knowing, once you start scoring yourself in these different areas, so give yourself 0 to 10, like, do I actually have 3 in my own company right now, in my own model that I know of? Do I have a 1-paragraph pitch, right? Because you know Zuma does, right? They've actually gone in and already are saying what it is that they actually are doing. Oh, here's their available things, how to apply, what kind of a culture they have. So they're already out. The careers video is the one we were looking at, right? They're already actually attracting a talent that's coming in as a result of doing these things. Let's continue. Let's actually look at number 3. We have we can describe an enterprise in 1 powerful enterprise promise. Number 4, we have a clear mission and conditional success. Like, do we actually have that mission on a 0 to 10? Number 5, we have a 1-year team charter. I'm going to show you our team charter so you can see what this looks like. You say, I don't have that. I don't have a plan right now. Well, now's the time to start thinking about what that plan looks like. This is really a question here, you know, that Michelle was asking. Do I have a promotion schedule and milestones? She's like, well, I don't have that right now. Do I have a shared financial model and forecast? Do I have a clear customer profile? Do I have a clear company culture? Do I have every one of my team empowered to lead our own success? So, of course, like someone like Alexander would look at that and say, no, I definitely don't have that, or else they'd all be doing their stuff. But he realized that's the 10th thing. There's all these things that come before it, right? Is there actually a really clear culture that everyone's following, right? Is there an actual schedule and milestones in place? The reason this is important is to answer his question first, which is, what's the KPIs for a team member? Is about understanding to begin with that once you actually design a way of managing your team such that you can actually link it to 3 key things, the 3 key things that allow you to guide your own decision-making in the right way is the 3 C's. And the 3 C's are, first of all, culture, and then it's all about capacity, and only then is about capability. So you might have people where you say, well, they just don't have the capability because they're not doing what I want them to do. But the reality is it might just be the wrong culture. It might be that they don't have a culture where they've all agreed that one of the most important things is take responsibility for your actions and for everyone to be like reporting in on a natural rhythm, right? It's like, if that's part of your culture and someone doesn't do that, then you know you've got the wrong person. That has nothing to do with their capability. If you have the right person that fit your culture, and then when you're recruiting for people, we always start with our culture. We always start with like, okay, what's the culture of the business that we're looking to create? And we have our own culture code. right? So within our team charter, we actually, like we had a team charter meeting two days ago. We start with the culture, right? So our culture code is built off lots of culture codes that you can find on SlideShare. SlideShare is a great place because they've got all the companies out there that are actually providing their culture codes, and they're actually providing it online, right? So if I go culture code on SlideShare, you'll see all these companies that are sharing their culture, right? Let me just do this. Company culture. Everyone's different cultures. Let's just read Hastings, right? Netflix. This is where he's actually sharing that the success of Netflix is all as a result. These are 18 million views on this, right? Is all as a result of this culture slides that he put together. And you can go to these. And culture is about, like, if you think about the difference of culture in a business compared to your personal character, this is how I define that. Character is what you're doing when no one's watching. That's your culture. This is your character, like who you are really as a person, is what you're doing when no one's watching. Culture is what your team is doing when you're not watching. So what are they just doing day to day, right? It's like their DNA. And the only way to grow a business is you need to take your character or the things that you actually want to aspire to and turn that into the culture of the company. And so we have that with it. It's the most important thing if you're going to build a team, right? You cannot build a team or attract a team unless you've got a strong culture. And so all the top companies in the world, they focus at that culture to be the attractor, that then attracts people to you. If you think that basically, a product is to a customer what a culture is to an employee, right? It's like that's what attracts them to your company. It's what they want. It gives them the benefit of actually being part of a team they want to be a part of. Our culture code that we have, basically we walk through each step of this culture code, and we get everyone on the team to share what was an example in the last 3 months of what happened where you actually were living this culture. And in our case, we've actually got these slides here that you can see where we actually cover, I'll just do this, where we actually cover, I'll make it bigger so you can see it as well. A second. We have 6 values. And how did we come up with this? We got the whole team together. So every 3 months, we have a quarterly meeting. And we always have something we use to develop the company. And we did this about 4 years ago, where we actually got everyone together and said, right, everyone, like, we'll get ourselves into groups of about 8 people, because there's like that allows everyone to mastermind. We got everyone to put 10 words up, which they said best describes how, when we have our 1,000th team member join the team, how they would say the other 999 already operate and what they have in common. What are their values, right? And we got every one of the people to then share their top 10. We then got every one of the groups to agree, after everyone shared, what the top 10 for the group was, so that everyone was like, it was very collaborative process. Then we had like the 4 groups that we had, and each got to present to the whole company what their top 10 were. And then we all got to vote by putting up, like, ticking 10 of the different Post-it notes. We all had Post-it notes. We put them all on the wall, and we actually picked the top 10. And then we said, okay, here's the ones that are our top. And from there, we then pulled together the ones that actually were most important. We had words like entrepreneurial in there. We had words like inspiring in there, right? And then what happened with all those words was we then basically said, okay, how are we going to combine this together? And someone came up with the idea of saying, well, why don't we just use the word genius and actually have these 6 out of the top 10 that we choose. So we had global, which is always about starting with the whole, working back to the parts. It's like, how do we always think globally in everything we do? We had entrepreneurial, which is how do we actually not be afraid of failure, but be failing all the time, but failing forward in the things that we do as well. We had natural, which is how do we make sure that we actually don't go too fast or too slow in the things that we do. We had inspiring, which is how do we make it all about the experience so everyone who comes aboard gets inspired by the things that we do. How do we make it unique so we're always doing something which is bringing out our own uniqueness as well as uniqueness of the company. And how do we do it smart, which means we're always finding a better way. And when we had our meeting, we spent 30 minutes with everyone just sharing, in the last quarter, we had the accounts team saying, entrepreneur was my word for this time, because we came up with a whole new way we're going to do our system. We had smart. We had someone say, we really like the way we created this new structure for, so everyone's thinking about how they're living the values. And that's so important, because it means that everyone's then aligned with who you're being. And people don't stay with you because of what they do. They stay with you because of who they become. So by being really aware that you're creating a space for consciousness to grow within the company, if you've got the wrong people that don't want to do that, you've got the wrong people, right? Then you've got to move them out and get the right people in. But the more you build culture around it, the easier it gets, right? So really important that now, if someone's following the culture and capacity means you're overloading them, the overcapacity, you get them, charged up for success, and they can then do it. Then finally capability comes in, right? And capability is basically where you say, okay, they're not trained up in the right way. I've got to either bring the job down to their level, or I've got to train them up to the level I need them to be, right? But this is about you growing. A gardener never blames the plants. A gardener never blames the flowers. So the moment you, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, says, like, my team's not good enough, that's like a farmer saying my flowers aren't good enough. It's like, no, it means you haven't created the right conditions of success for the flower to be able to grow. It doesn't mean that gardens don't also have weeds. You have to pull out the weeds as well. Those are the ones that don't fit the culture, right? But basically, once you've got the right ones that you want to grow, help them to grow, right? Actually support them to be at a higher level themselves. And then you're going to be able to assess that in the right way. So we have KPIs for every team member. I want to show you what they look like in a moment. How you recruit is you use culture to actually then make sure it's like, if this is what we stand for, are you up for this role to come on board? And will you follow our process, right? I wouldn't worry about business partners or investors yet. It's too early. You've got to get the team flow going first. Then at blue level, you can start working on the investor side. Now, in Rich's case, you are in a position where you can start really saying, I'll put some time to really support the team, the flow of new team members coming on board. Then I just want to be at a shareholder level. The way to do that most easily is to make a distinction between what is a management meeting. Management meetings generally should be happening on a weekly basis, right? What is a board meeting, right? Board meetings will happen more like basically quarterly or maybe monthly, right? So most management meetings are either weekly or monthly. Board meetings are either monthly, or in your case, it could just be quarterly. So we have quarterly board meetings. And then when is your AGM, which is your shareholder meeting, right? They normally happen annually, right? Because all you're doing is you're just changing the rhythm of the meeting. It's like, okay, from now on, I'm just going to be at the annual shareholder meeting, right? You might say, okay, shareholders meet once every quarter to start with, and we'll just talk about, is the management doing the right thing? And by you just lifting that level to the next level, of course, you can just be the shareholder and still then get them to report, okay, here's the board report on what happened. And the best way to do that is to create a board. So it's not just you speaking to your sister, right? But it's you actually having a team that can look after things, and where you can then basically be at a level above that. And you know, at least that she's getting mentorship, she's getting support. You don't need to actually make it even a board of directors. You can make it a board of advisors. Just get a group of people together that are going to help her to learn more about how to grow the business. So you know you've got the right person doing it, right? And then you can actually step to the next level. That's the way to do it. But I'll go one step further. On something like this, just the same way I was saying with someone like Sari, that she can go in and actually see, oh, this is how other people are doing it. You can do the same thing at the next level, right? Like at green level, to say, well, I'm going to create a new integrative health society. Well, let's go out and just say, let's pretend someone's already done that, okay? Let's just pretend, right? So we say, I'm going to basically create the first integrative health society, right? There it is. It's a Google term, Academy of Integrative Health and Medicine, right? Let's just open that up for a second. Let's open a few of them. I'm sure you've looked at this already, but let's just open a few. Integrative Medicine and Holistic Health Association. We'll open that one up as well. All right, so that's another one here. Let's just open one more. We can keep on going, but we'll just open a few. European Society of Integrative Medicine. All right, we'll open that one too. This one, National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. That's another one. So we'll open that one up too. Okay, so look, we'll just open a few different ones. So once you actually come to some of these other guys and see, well, what are they doing, right? Like, where are they based? What are they up to? Like, you say, contact us. Then it's like, where are these guys and where are they based? They're not telling us right now, but they've got conferences, so that'll give us a clue. And they're, fairly recent they had these. So let's see where these ones are. It looks like it's, tell us where you are. It looks like America, right? So this is in America right now, from the looks of it. And they've got all these different people, biofield medicine, like all these different people are kind of sharing on different things. So this is a US-based one, right? So we've got basically, like, they've got fellowships. You can see how they're doing their things. They've got conferences, annual conferences of some sort. They've got e-learning that they're doing. So they're obviously like generating money from that as well. What's the kind of e-learning stuff that they're up to. And so again, just like we were saying earlier, in terms of actually modeling, what do I like or not like? What am I going to do different from these people? Or in some cases, you might think, you know what? I like the idea of what they're doing. I'll go to their conference. I'll see what they're up to, right? This one's happening in December. Or you might actually, this is e-learning, sorry, so e-learning one. This is their conference, right? September 22nd, 26th. So, obviously that's just happened. Like, people went along for it. They learned all this stuff. There's exhibition things. You can download the prospectus of it, right? So all of this is about, and you might say, oh, they've got a different definition of integrative health to my definition, right? I see it differently, right? Which is fine. But what you're doing is and maybe this one's more like it, like the Holistic Health Association. It's got a different thing. And then these guys are in different places. Do people follow them on Facebook? You're just going and just investigating and saying, is this a real thing? Is it just like a startup that someone did? 578. It's obviously early days, so someone had some great idea and hadn't really grown it. These guys are in Massachusetts. But they're all people that would be great partners for something that you then do in the UK, right? So then it's like, great, I don't have to start by climbing the mountain. I can just parachute in from what other people have done. And that's where the real value of this becomes. It gets really exciting when you realize that, you know, the streams, you don't have to create all the stream yourself. There's already people out there who may not be as well served as you want, as you're going to serve them. You can get straight away up to a couple of thousand members straight away by just saying, hey, I'll take over your stuff and I'll run it better. And they'll go, great, go do it, right? And off you go and go, oh, I found out these guys are good e-learning. And so how you design your own model for the next step is right back to exactly these same steps we're talking about here, where the first step is, what are my actual models that I'm following that I really like the look of? And we can talk more about that on the group calls as we go forward as well. But let's come back for a moment to then the key things here that we want to make sure that we're covering. Yes, definitely set it up in that way. I'm going to go to another structural question, right? Because Eileen's asking some structural questions, but there's also structural questions that I think, who else was asking? I think it was, well, Sarah's got a slightly different question, so I want to come back to that in a moment. If you've got, here, let me come up to Eileen, right? So in Eileen's case, one of the most key things that Eileen is doing right now is that she's actually starting to take a model which is actually working for her. If I go to her site, which is the Get Up and Go Diaries, and this is something that we talked about, Eileen, which is actually, you know, going to partners and being their diary, like creating the diary for them. And this is exactly what you did. And you can see here, she did this with the Sports Association. She's now got the Young All-Star Sports Journal, right? Which then they can all go and buy, which is great. Right? And then you can actually do the same for young people and so on as well. This is by far the best way for you to grow, where you've actually got a captive audience of people that actually want to have this as well. However, at the moment, there's no easy way for someone to come in and to package this for themselves, right? So I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. Let's imagine that we can make this as simple as someone actually getting their own, corporate uniforms, right? For example, right? So let's say we actually say, you know, we're looking for a way to be able to get, company uniforms online, right? Just as an example, okay? So company uniforms online, uniforms corporations, empowered workway, right? These guys do this. They've got an ad in here, custom-made uniform design. They've got an ad in here, right? So you go, oh, okay, let's go and have a look at one of these, right? Let's go look at these guys here. So here they are, CYC, my company only has 10 staff who need uniforms. Can CYC corporate label provide uniforms for them? For companies with less than 10 staff, you may select designs from our classic Express portfolio. Corporate staff sales will guide you to choose the appropriate colors and fabrics for the designs. All your uniforms will be custom made to fit your staff individually. It's like, oh, awesome, right? Functional designs, breathable, soil, like, oh, it does the stuff, blouses, shirts. I can get to choose all the stuff. Look, all these companies, these are all the ones that solve it. We're here to help. So this is this is a landing page which has very clearly, what's the problem that you have? I'm a small company, but I need my own uniform. What is the promise that you're making? I'm going to give you this really awesome uniform that we're going to custom make for you. What is the product? It's breathable uniform fabrics. It's soil release uniform. What is the proof? The proof is all these people are already using it. These are the 4 Ps you'll always find in responsive sites. So really super important. Like, I'll just go through them. 4 Ps. I know I'm going for a lot of stuff in this call, but like, don't have to use all of it, but just use the stuff that's most relevant to you. Problem, promise, product, proof, right? This is the why. Why am I even looking at the site? Because I'm a small company that needs a uniform. What's your promise? What am I going to get out of this? How is this going to work? And who's already doing this, right? Like, so I know social proof. That's exactly what this is doing. And at the end of it, you've got your contact form. Like, if you, Eileen, were to do one of these, just like this, for you're looking for your own corporate diary, right? You're looking for your association diary, right? It's like, you know, lots of people want their own personalized diaries, but don't have a simple way to do it. We solve that problem, right? Because we basically are able to deliver it for you. Like, you know, we're going to be able to provide this. Here's examples of people we already work with that do all of this. Enter the information before. You could even do this eventually where people can actually tailor their diary online, right? That they could do that too. But even just to begin with, if they're just responding to you, you can go out and actually start doing Facebook advertising, LinkedIn advertising, and getting people coming down and actually doing this. And you get this flow of business coming your way, where at the moment you've got to go knocking on doors, right? So that's the business model to follow. And then actually having them getting attracted to you is the kind of critical next step to make this work as well, right? That's the way to do it. So let's come back here to, and that's how you scale demand. You do it exactly that way, right? By actually having a flow where they're getting attracted to you. And then the partnerships are partnerships for companies or associations where everyone there would want to have their own diary. And you have no way right now for them to be able to do that easily. Like you take something like the sports one and you say, hey, we've got this sports diary for all the people on the island. Would you like to have one specifically for your sports club? Right? Of course, lots of them would want that, but you're not giving them the opportunity to do that, which will then actually sell a lot more diaries as a result of just doing it that way. Okay. So that's how you scale, is that you always look for a way to actually scale it coming to you and creating a flow instead of you having to go chase the business. So final things on green, because I'm about to go from the green questions to the yellow level questions, right? If we come to Sari here, how do I manage my team? Like, what's the process that I use? So when you come to this here, which is the second tab, course schedule and recordings, you'll find all the course schedules here, but you also find all of these templates, team charter, promotion plans, flight deck, you'll find them all on here. Click on there. So let me give an example of the team charter. This is our team charter of what we use right now. This here, we just reviewed 2 days ago. So every quarter, we do ourselves a team charter. This basically allows us to run businesses at multiple millions. And you can have thousands of people and they can all use the same team charter. It's like a 1-year plan that allows everyone to be really clear on that plan. This plan was put together this time last year of what was going to happen in 2018. And we said in here, what was our mission? What was our promise? At Masters that we run, we actually go through things like this, like our mission. We go through who's your market avatar, who's your customer. We go through, and this is all green level stuff, right? So I'm not going to go through it all in this call, but the fact that it exists and you can get a template is really important. What's your product range? So you're not trying to overdo it, or you're not trying to do too much. You know what you're actually trying to achieve, your network promise, your partner promise. Don't worry about all these at the moment. We go through them in more detail, and we've got a whole year together, so we'll cover more of this. But basically, the point about this is everyone who joins the company, they get to see what we're actually doing in the company. They get to see what we're doing as 1 year in a continuum. Each year we have a different theme. Next year, our theme is profitable partners. Year after that, the theme is $100 million successes, right? So we've got themes, and we just bring this theme out on every one of our calls to say, here's where we're going right now. We have a picture of what this business looks like by the end of this year. And we have a organization chart, but it's a future chart. It's what it will look like at the end of Q4. So there's certain people that don't exist here that we know we're going to fill up. And everyone knows that as well, right? That we're looking for those people. And then, and these ones, we just filled these 2 spots up this week, right? It just happened this week as a result of us knowing those are the 2 spots we wanted to fill. And then we'll have things on here, like, for example, the rhythm, right? So it's like we have an annual leader retreat every September. We have a quarterly review, December, March, and June. We have a monthly finance meeting every month. We're on the 3rd Monday of every month. We have a leader review on the 2nd Monday of every month. We have a weekly promotion plan meeting for every promotion team on the Monday of every week. And we have a weekly flight deck meeting, which is Wednesday every week. And that's it. That's all we do. But by doing that and having that rhythm, it means that we always are checking in at the right thing at the right time. And everyone's then saying, okay, what's our numbers look like? Where are we at? What's our plan? So if you don't have a rhythm which allows everyone to come in and say, here's where I'm at right now, here's what's working, here's what's not working that I'm working on, then you're the one that has to check on everything, right? As you heard from Alexander, is like, he's got to go check all the time. It's what Sari would have to do. She'd have to check all the time unless she's got people coming to her with their plans. And what they're doing on their plans, and we show like month on month, quarter on quarter, how we're doing against our actuals. We have our promotion plans. So think of this like flights that are coming and going from the airport, right? So here they all are. And each one of these plans is $1 million plan, right? It makes money and it has a team that's then growing it as it goes as well. So if I take an example like this one here, digital marketing, which I'll take because I think it's really important with what we're talking about right now. I'll go through the digital marketing one with Danny, right? With Danny's numbers, so you can see what we did there. But let me just take one like the events one, right? If you're running something like, or community, right? If you're running partners, like we are building our partner community. So we said, okay, here's what we're going to do in this quarter. We're going to get to 200,000 per month by year end for our partners. We're going to have solve this problem, which is that mentors, trainers are all looking for ways to have the tools to succeed. We solve that problem within our community by training them up to actually be successful. We have 5 steps that partners can go through from the leader through to a partner, global partner, and what do they get at every level? These are the things they get. Here's how much it costs them. Here's how we train them up to get certified. And so we're really clear at every step, what are we filling in? And we put these together before we've designed it all out, right? We actually say, well, let's map it out and then work backwards from the end result we want to create. And that end result then shows up in terms of our financial objectives, how much money we're going to make, in terms of our development objectives, what's going to be developed by the end of the quarter that we don't have right now, and our learning objectives. So we have each of these where we're just really super clear what we're trying to create. And then what's the flow look like? Like, where are we going to get people from? What's the first thing they're going to buy? Then what? And then what? And people then know there's a pathway for them to follow. And at this level, by designing it, you're just creating a plumbing system that allows everything then flow off the back of it, right? And these then all end up becoming, and don't try and get all this together in 1 month. You don't need to. But knowing that this is an endpoint to get to, where you know that everything can be actually orchestrated in flow, where you've then got these things we have, which are called your personal compass. These are like job descriptions, but we put them together ourselves. So if you're the one that has to tell your staff what to do, you're never going to be able to grow, right? That was the old industrial model. The new technological model is everyone telling you what they're going to do, right? Because it's got to be bottom up, because things move so quickly. So here basically is where I am showing up everybody. What's my quarterly role? We change our role every quarter, right? Like sometimes it's the same, sometimes it changes. We go through what our top priorities are. We go through our milestones connected to those priorities. We go through what are our big wins and challenges. What's our big learnings and goals, right? And everyone does that, like everyone in the team. So we can go through every single person in the company, and every one of them has all filled one of these out. And it allows every one of us to see where everyone else is at, what their challenges are, what their goals are, what their big purpose is, which is hugely valuable to actually just bring a face to everyone in your company, especially if you've got 100 people, right? That you actually get to see where they're at, and everyone can get everyone else where they're at as well. So no one ends up just showing up and saying to someone, I just need you to do this now, because everyone knows someone else has already got their priorities, and they can see what the priorities are straight from the team charter as well. So the way that you actually design your business has got to be something that basically is not a car where you're just driving the car and everyone's sitting in the back seat. It's like a bus where you're asking everyone where they want to go, and you're going to where they want to go in their life with their dreams and with their personal development of them growing their own business as they go as well, right? Or growing their own role within the business they grow as well. So that's the best ways to manage a team, using something like a team charter, and then using something really simple like Basecamp, which is what we use, to just manage all of our different promotions, right? So, and there's other ones. You can use Slack as another example, just project management, team communication. So whether it's Basecamp, whether it's Slack, but there's no point in doing this just to create lots and lots of noise. You want to do it where you're actually working directly off an actual project plan, where everyone's running that project plan all off at the same time as well, right? And that would be the best way to design it. And I'll go through more things as we go. We're on to promotions now. What could Sari do as a launch promotion? Well, I mean, already just from what I shared, having something where you're actually going out and connecting up to the people out there that want to come and support your promotion, and getting some partners on board, right? Like, go to some of the guys out there that you actually think would be loving, to support this, because they already are the sake companies, right? Where they'll sponsor, a number of bottles that were going to be kind of like given out free for the night, or go to the companies that actually are related to Japan, like the Japanese car companies, right? Or the Japanese like appliance companies who say, hey, we're actually running this and we're having a Japanese night, and basically we'd like you to help sponsor this. It's our first sake bar, and we'd love to have your people come along. And so they then sponsor it and they bring it in as well. So basically just make it a big party where you get all the right people, but don't go and blow all the money on it. Get them to actually be the ones that actually put the money in to sponsor. They'll bring their own people along, and that will fill the whole place up, right? That's always the best way to launch something to start with, is you're giving them a reason to all want to show off each other, because you're actually having something which is like a Japan night, and it basically is like anyone who's a Japanese company in Belgium should come along to it. And the moment you do that, you go, oh, if I wanted to do that, so I'm really creating this bit of a theme. If I go and look at what are Japanese companies in Brussels, right? Then you're always going to find there's a way very quickly to actually zoom in to all the right companies. 61 Japanese jobs in Brussels area with companies. Japanese jobs in Brussels are all the companies that are there as well. Japanese community of Brussels is like, getting to organize. So it's just tapping into the to where these guys are. And immediately as a result of that, you're then actually getting them to bring all their people in as well. And then that fills it up real fast. And then people hear about it, the buzz starts. And then of course, everyone else then follows as well, right? Super important. And this is how we've done it with our branding. We were really clear with TripAdvisor. Sorry, me. I've got a bit of a cold today, sorry. But you can see here, Genius Cafe, we're currently number 3 out of 425 restaurants in Sanor. And that's because we were just constantly focusing at the team and getting the team to just get like great testimonials and people sharing all the time. Someone from Japan just typed in here, basically because, Korea. Because they basically are just really loving it there, and we're just making sure people find us by actually doing that kind of thing as well, which is really super important. Okay, Promotions. So this whole, like, how do you change Facebook engagement, right? This Alara is asking this question already. Let's start with Danny and just look at Danny's numbers, okay? So Danny has said the most important numbers when you're actually going through something like this is going to be basically what is my cost per customer, right? CPC, right? And what is my versus my revenue per customer, right? It's just what are those two things? So we can say, well, it was £225 to find 2 customers. Well, we can say that's £110, right? So this is £110 for finding a customer versus £997, which is the revenue per customer, right? Well, you can pretty much work that out. That's pretty much like 11%, okay? So basically, for every 11 pence that you're spending, that equals £1, right? Basically, you're like 10 times your money. So would it be true that if she spent £2,000 instead of 200, she could be making 20,000 instead of 1,000? I think absolutely. Like if we looked at our numbers and said what's reasonable, a reasonable ad percentage is not 11%. 11% is really cheap. A reasonable ad percentage is 30%, which means that you're paying about a third less than what other people are willing to pay for to make money online. And you stopped, even though you're doing so well, right? Just because you're not sure what you should do next, right? If we take like something simple like our online wealth dynamics test, right? Where we do Facebook advertising on that, okay? So let me just show you what it looks like on a week-by-week basis in addition to what we do online. So we do about 100,000 a month just through the wealth dynamics test, right? And so on our team charter, because it's one of our promotions, we'll have up here our numbers for our online test, right? So here it is. Here it is. Okay. So this is where we have a promotion, financial objectives, 140,000 from the wealth dynamics by in quarter 3. Now we're going to quarter 4 where that's growing up higher. And every week we do a digital marketing report, right? So the team puts this together. This is the one from 20th of September, 4th of October. So it's last week. We watch and see where did everyone come from. United States, Thailand, we have a Thailand event going on, South Africa, UAE. How many page views, how many sessions, how many users, how much do we spend on different things? This one here was like, bringing people on board on the e-guide. What we do, which is by far the most effective way, is we get people to actually get something for free, like an ebook, which they'll just get for free straight away. Because you're offering something for free, which is like the actual program you're running, that's fine. Just do that for free and people come on board. But then from this, we'll then actually retarget them. We'll give them a download and then we'll then retarget and actually go back to the same people who actually did the download. And retargeting is a pretty straightforward thing to do online nowadays. And then from there, we then give them these kind of ads where they are like, would you like to now buy, right? Get a discount, buy. Then people buy off the back of it. And we just started doing Google ads, doing the same thing as well, right? And so off the back of doing that, you can see here that we had last week a total spend of 3,700, which included 1,300 just to generate new leads. So we had 145 new leads. 7 people bought from there. We retargeted these people. So yeah, question: should I be waiting 6 months, for people to trust me enough? And the answer is no. You don't need to. You can do that online already, just through telling stories, through sharing. People will then come on board and get the value. But you've got to build up more of the stories. You can't just be actually getting people to get the right stories themselves. But you definitely can accelerate it to do that. Here we got 42 sales out of like an average of 140 people a week. So that's 30% bought. Here you see Google bought as well. So we spent $3,700. We made $9,000, right? Now, of course, this is all automated, right? It would be an even higher number if we were actually doing what you're doing and actually having a session with them as well. But the bottom line is, you spent £200. We spent $3,000 last week, but we don't mind because we made this is all pure profit, right? So by you upping, and this is how our numbers have run just in the last 4 weeks, right? You can see every week, cost per acquisition, cost per, revenue per customer. We can see it's we're doing 30%. So we're happy. We just keep on growing. And this is going up by about 500 now we started pushing this forward. You see, it's we made 6,600, 7,500. This will be up to about 20,000 by the end of this year per week that we're making from this, right? Which obviously is $1 million a year. Just cash. It's just $1 million cash. Now, if we didn't start at small numbers and keep growing, we wouldn't have this automated funnel. But why wouldn't you just do something if it can just give you $1 million in cash, right? And that's one of our products. Now it's one of our more popular products, but you get the idea. You're actually having to be really clear what your numbers are. Your numbers are good right now. You're just not spending enough. You're not going to get better numbers for £200, but you spend £400 and see that you can make now 4 sales and make 4,000. Then and keep going. That's the only thing stopping you. You're not spending enough money, right? So basically, just keep upping it as you go. Make sure you get the result back again. But the process you have of having a week where people go through this process is a good process. It's working for you. So keep it going, right? Just up it and know that you can actually, have a pretty big margin for error, right? What happens if you only got 1 sale instead of 2 sales, right? After spending 200, well, it's still 200 for £1,000. It's still only 20% of 1,000 that you spent, and the rest of it was just your time. But you're wasting a lot more time by not spending the money and getting double the number of people in, because you still have to go through the 5 days yourself. You're spending a lot more time doing it that way than just putting a bit more money into it, right? So that would be my feedback. And I would say the same for everyone. Be watching your funnel and know it's all about what was my cost per customer, what was my revenue per customer, right? And obviously you can actually break that down also, what's my cost per lead, what's my revenue per lead, and then build it from there as well. But it's super duper important to build that. You're really good at building community. You've got people showing up for it. You just need to up the size of it right now as well. So that's my feedback on the promotion. That's how you actually, to build trust, you just give more touch point on stories. So give more stories that they can actually share in as they go in as well. And how do you lock them in for the next round where people say, I want to do this, but I want to do the next one instead? It has to be as a result of what I'm about to share with Michelle, right? So what I want to say to Michelle is that when she gave her story where she's like, give me an example of irresistible offer, right? Because basically in Michelle's case, what she said, if you remember at the very beginning of this call, is she says, I'm going to be able to 10 times your productivity in your financial advising company if you give me your time, right? So this is the promise. This is the what. Okay. So how are you going to do this, right? What's the how? Well, I'm going to basically I'm going to give you a token. I'm going to give you a debrief. I'm going to give you a 1-day workshop. That's how I'm going to do it, right? How much is it going to be? It's going to be 50,000, right? And then she started trying to sell it more by saying more stuff. But you don't need to say more stuff. If you already said you can 10 times, someone might actually say, give me the details of that. But the thing that's missing here, it's the biggest thing, is there's no cost of missing out. There's no cost of missing out. It's kind of like, okay, that sounds awesome. People don't decide to buy from you because they like your products, because I'm sure there's lots of things you like, but there's no consequence to not buying today. You can still go buy it tomorrow, right? But the moment that there's actually a cost to missing out, the moment that it's like, look, I'm going to do this specifically for 5 people, where I'm going to be giving basically this special rate where normally it would be 100,000, I'm doing for 50,000. And I'm going to be actually closing this by the end of this week, whether it's a time limit or whether it's a group limit. You say, I'm only going to have this many people. People will totally change the way they're thinking and say, if I don't say yes now, I'm pretty much saying someone else is going to be taking this instead of me, and it may not be here next week. I'm going to just take it, right? So there's a difference of standing on the station. The way that Michelle was sharing it, she was like on the station waiting for the trains to come, which is a very different energy of being the train coming into the station, saying, I've got these 5 spots. This is the only people. So take your target. And like Michelle said, I want to make 100,000 a month, right? Well, you're going to make 50,000 from 2 customers. So isn't it different if, like Michelle was saying, I'm going to be working with 2 customers in January, and I'm only going to work with 2 because I want to make sure that those guys get really, really great value. I'm speaking to you right now because I think that within this group, there are 2 people that are the right people to come on board as well. And if you're interested in this, book a time to speak with me so I can actually assess, would you be the right one that I would be working with, right? Get them to earn the right to come in. You'll get people booking calls with you because they want to be the right one to come in and actually work with you in a way that those who basically aren't sure wouldn't even book the call in the first place, right? But the moment you turn your target into limit, you're the one that creates, this is not closing a sale, this is opening an opportunity. It's the opposite. Start with it being closed and then open it. So because you're not doing that, there's no cost of missing out, which means people aren't going to make the decision to do anything anyway. That's what makes an irresistible offer. And the fact there's a reward, a recognition, acknowledgement that they made an offer, that there's people have an inconvenience or a discomfort in changing or moving or making a decision, right? Making a decision, especially if you're going to pay money for that decision, that's not as comfortable as making no decision, right? So you're going to make the discomfort of not making a decision greater than the discomfort of making a decision. That's it, right? And as long as you make that discomfort greater, then people will then move, right? If they see the value in what you're doing, right? Super important. And on the mastermind side, basically you already were seeing as we were going through it, how someone like Danny is like designing what she's doing, which really is kind of like a mastermind in a way. It's like getting people into a community, and it's actually saying, and again, you could use Gem as the base, and you can just say, I'm going to add the extra into Gem and just add $500 to the value of it, right, and to the price of it, and then you just, you know, say, hey, you're going to get the #1 entrepreneur network in the world, and it's going to be applied directly to financial planning companies because I'm going to give you the extra on it as well. I'm part of this community. This is Roger Hamilton. These are all the tools. This is what you're going to get. And basically, you're going to get all this extra stuff as a result of working with me on this. Then you're going to get them coming on board, and you're going to be able to use all of our tools to actually then help you as well, which is really where the value comes into it, right? Okay, let's go to the final parts here. So here's best way to the market and how to get the first-time investors. You're trying to start 3 companies at the same time. Don't try and start 3 at the same time. Choose one. Like trying to start 3 companies at the same time, but like trying to push 3 cars up the hill at the same time, it just doesn't work. So you're going to say, okay, well, I've got 10 buildings myself, 10 investments myself. Which would be the ones that would actually be the most important ones for me to look for first if I'm going to bring in customers, right? Do I want to be managing other people's properties first? Do I want to do development for someone? In which case, you definitely don't start by trying to get a first-time buyer. So I want to go to the people that need convincing, where I'm going to give them an opportunity, right? Like if I don't want to give an opportunity to somebody that isn't able to actually deliver, so I don't want to go to a first-time buyer for that. So that rules out your avatar straight away. You want to manage someone who doesn't actually. So you get a bit stuck because you're trying to go to someone who's first-time investor, and you're trying to give them tools that they're not actually ready for yet. You're actually looking, in my view, for someone who's a bit more like you are, right? Someone who's already done a few investments, who's saying, I'm kind of like limited on my investments right now because I am doing a few, but I'm sure there's other opportunities out there which I'm ready for. And I want to learn better ways to do this like go as well. And that's a different story to say, hey, you're already a first-time investor. You already got maybe 1 or 2 properties under your belt, but you're thinking, how do I really scale this up now? I'll work with you to show you how, because I've done that. I've taken it up to 10 properties already. I'll show you how you can get to this in the same speed that I have. That becomes super valuable when you do that. You go out with that kind of advertising, and then that actually allows you to then actually really start getting traction with the people that are out there. I would say that with on the same point as that, with Larry and Walter, if LinkedIn is getting you more people, keep to LinkedIn. LinkedIn actually does have a lot of tools now that you can use. So for example, if you get something like Duck Soup actually allows you to automate all the things that you're wanting to do on, wrong one, sorry. Oh, no, Prospect.io is a different one, right? These guys here. But these guys here, Duck Soup, they allow you to automate all of your messaging on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn basically will go out, do all the legwork, send messages back to people, automate tasks. If people come and look at your page, it'll directly go back and actually send them a message from you to say, hey, thanks so much. And hey, why don't you come join our group? So you can actually lead them directly from one thing to another thing. So there's and LinkedIn advertising is now working really, really well as well. And you can actually get your avatar much, much clearer. So yes, you can do things on Facebook by doing some of the things Danny's talking about and the things that I just showed you, where you're really targeted to those people. But even more so, LinkedIn actually does work. And so if that's working for you at the moment, great. But you need to be using some of these automation tools to actually get there too. We'll go more into the nuts and bolts on upcoming calls. And I know we've probably covered a bit too much information already for everyone to digest in one call, but do know that this is about really understanding that all the elements are there to actually build forward, and it's about growing it the right way. So for Hez, be much clearer about, do I really want first-time investors that suddenly want to develop or want to manage something? Not ready for that. Do I want someone who's already a second-time investor or a third-time investor that I want to get up to a 10-time investor, right? That makes more sense to me because that's what your avatar is, who you are right now. And what's the thing that they're going to be willing to pay money for most? Is it the opportunity where you're going to get a percentage of the sales? Probably more than trying to do a development for them. Is it that you can manage a property for them while they're going out to get more properties? Maybe. But I would say it's probably the opportunity side, which is the number one, where you're actually helping them to find the right one, and then you're taking a percentage of it, and then off they go, and you're getting them in a mastermind group where they're actually learning from each other as well, right? And there's a lot of examples, people like Simon Zushi, that's how he does his ones, where they're actually able to then follow that. And we'll go through that, but make it one thing you're launching, not 3 all at the same time, basically. And then with Larry, yes, like I said, do it more LinkedIn. I think that's the way that's going to allow you to actually move forward at this point. Now, I know I've kind of covered with everyone in one element or not. The final one is Karen. Should she do the promotion or not on the travel pack? So guys, here's the travel pack. Check it out. If you look here, this one here is what she posted. It is this. Oops, sorry. This is all different stuff. Let me open it. It is this one here. Where? Yeah, Dr. Morton's medical helpline. gynae travel pack, best available treatments prescribed for a doctor, stops travelers' diarrhea, treat infections. So it's like it gives you a travel pack for all your travel, medical. Like, great, right? You've got all this stuff all in one, all in a big package, right? You get it all, like, you know, it gives you all the tools and everything you need. Any issues you have, you're in it, right? You got this. This is fine, right? It's great. It would definitely sell online. If you go to Ad Espresso, right, and you say, I want Ad Espresso, this is like the #1 place to actually see ads on Facebook, and you want like ad examples, right? Then it actually gives you all these different ad examples, right, on Ad Espresso. So you can go into this and say, I want things specifically, which is about medical, right? Find ads now, right? And off it goes, and it finds all these medical ads, right, straight away for you, right? Maybe you want to have something for medical pack. I want to find a medical pack, right? Find ads now. 22 medical packs here, right? Different packs, you know, that people already are posting, that you can actually then, and you can actually go and do a free trial and find even more of these as well, right? Where you're actually looking for, you say, oh, I want like, you know, medical service, right? And what happens is you're seeing what are the very best ads that are out there that already are being used, you know, that you can then actually learn from as well. What did they ask? How did they write it? What was the image? What do they do? And it gives you all of these things which are actually linked in here, that allows you to actually see what you could do different as well, right? So be like, you know, really aware there's really great tools out there that allow you to do all this stuff. And if I was you, I would definitely test it, because you want to have a cash promotion which is making money for you just while you sleep, while you start building up your B2C side, your B2B side, right? Have a cash promotion that's generating cash separate from your profit promotion, separate from your capital promotion, right? Yellow level, green level, and blue level. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now because I know I've covered a lot of ground, but the most important thing is take 2 or 3 of the key things that I've shared to apply, but know that everything here is about how do you create a customer pathway, which it just flows, separate from how do you create a talent pathway of team that can flow as well, and realize that, you know, product is to customer what culture is to your talent, right? So I want to give everyone a chance to share whatever is biggest thing coming out of this call for you. I will go in the same order. So I will start with Michelle Nolting. Hello, Michelle.
Hey, Roger. Thank you so much. For me, it's this understanding that there's no consequence to what I'm doing. So that was, I do know it, but you forget. So I want to say thank you. And then it was good to get a revision on everything else that you went through today with KPIs and teams and the team charts.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michelle. All right. Danny.
Thanks, Roger. Obviously, I need to just get a bit more courageous with the money spend, but it was really helpful to have you take me through the numbers and see the formula, and then I can watch it again the next time with the spending money and make sure the same is happening. Or as you say, I'm already doing really well with those numbers, so that does give me some confidence. I just want to say to all the new people on the group as well, please don't be overwhelmed by the amount that Roger has shared, because what I found personally working with him is that even though it can feel like that, do as he says, take a couple of the points, because he comes back to it all every single session, and over time it all starts kind of piecing together. So I just wanted to share that for all the newbies.
Good advice. Thank you, Danny. That's awesome. All right, great. I'm going to come over to, let's see here. Let's come to Hez.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. For me, what I've taken from this is the pre-flight checklist. It's basically, you know, knuckling down and just figuring out, you doing all the checklists before you launch, and then, you know, taking it step by step and one step at a time, and not trying to do, like you said, try and focus on one particular thing, nail that, and then those things can follow through as I'm going, but do the pre-flight checklist so I know where I'm going and have a clear plan and vision.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to get to.
Fantastic. Very cool. All right. Looking forward to our call together as well. That's great. All right, Alexander.
Yeah, I think I need to look at the culture, yeah, that's what I need to look at, and what we promise, and who is our customer as well. I also need to think of creating some sort of cash flow streams, because at the moment we're all dependent on the sales we make, and we have none of the other streams, which is a bit vulnerable for the business and for myself. That's one of my worries, that the money will finish and we have no investment. So we organically grow, but that's quite hard without having something that we can follow.
Absolutely, exactly. Well, I'll share with you on future calls like what other people have done that have had expertise in building or in renovations and so on, that's created cash flow streams for them as well. So we'll get into some of that as we go. That's great. Very good. Let's come over to Sari.
Yes, thank you, Roger, for sharing all the information. Obviously, I'm a bit overwhelmed also, so thanks, Danny, for the advice. I took lots of notes and I have exact action plans for today and the coming weeks. So thanks. For next time, I hope to be able to share our website and also our opening day. At this point, I don't know when we can open, but hopefully next time we are ready to open.
That's excellent. That's very good. And I know I'm going to be coming out to Europe and hopefully to Belgium, and I look forward to coming and seeing your sake bar.
Yes, please do so. Thanks.
Okay, great. All right, let's come to Ilaria and Walter.
All right. Hi. Thank you very much. Very valuable information. I have so much as well, but there are two things that I'm going to take action today. And one is the DAX Soup, the tools that you mentioned, just to see if is able to manage groups, because that is the problem. And the second one is Espresso, because I think that I need to review the ads that I put in Facebook, and Espresso, I think that is going to give me exactly an idea of what's working, and then I can replicate. So thank you very much, and thank you very much, Danny. I really appreciate what you are doing, and you are going to be my model.
That's so great. That's really good. Okay, awesome. And Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Roger. Again, like Ilaria, taking away all the automation tools. There's so many out there that you keep highlighting every time, and it's like, wow, this is going to make life so much easier. But going back to what you said right at the start was, which O2O, because we've just launched an online academy, training academy, and it's kind of getting people in, how we're going to sell it to people. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier was giving people back their time. So that is kind of a focus that we're going to use now on how to sell the online platform to people. Is actually, it's going to save you so much time and money by doing the training online now. So that's
very, very, very much so. Yeah, absolutely. And designing something like that. I mean, like we'll go through when we have our course some of the platforms that are doing that really, really well in other industries that you could then apply very easily to your industry as well, which would be really awesome. Okay, that's fantastic. So thank you very much, everyone. I know this is a bit of an unusual call because quite a number of you have just come and joined us, and we haven't actually had our orientation call yet. But are you getting a sense of just how much there is? And the more you direct the questions in an area, we zoom into that area, how much over the year we're going to be able to do together. But I'm really looking forward to the coming year. I think we're going to have some amazing success stories from this group, and look forward to our group, our orientation calls we're going to have as well. Have a fantastic month ahead. Use all the resources that are out there. I know there's recordings and things you can go into as well. And I'll catch up with you all later. Thank you, Darius, as well. I'll see you guys. Bye.